Are you thinking about moving to San Mateo County, or perhaps you already live here and you're thinking about buying your first place? I'm gonna share with you everything that you need to know about living in this incredible place. We're gonna talk about the real estate, we're talking about the job market and commuting and how all that ties together, lifestyle, nature, air quality, you name it, we're gonna try to talk about it. So stick around, you're not gonna wanna miss this. So you might already know in San Mateo County, we have 20 different cities. And we've done videos and deep dives on most of these cities, so feel free to check those out. But I will mention, if you're thinking about buying here, obviously you already know it's super expensive. Last year, the median home price in San Mateo County was $1,950,000, which was up 8% from 2023. Can you buy anything under $1 million? Yes, you can typically get a 1 or 2 bedroom condo. And if you're kind of looking at the lower end of price range in San Mateo County, I know these numbers are all massive, but you could get a lot better value in South San Francisco, San Bruno, Daly City up there, and that's gonna set you back anywhere from about $900,000 to about $1.5, $1.6 million. If you're looking for something with a little bit better weather, kind of like the sun that we have now, and we're shooting this in San Carlos, that's gonna cost you a little bit more. So a house in anywhere from kind of Millbrae, Burlingame down through Redwood City. If you're in a flatter, more walkable area, closer to 101 and El Camino, that's gonna be higher price per square foot. If you wanna be more up in the hills, kind of near the 280 freeway corridor, then you're gonna get a little bit better value, lower price per square foot. And if you value that for commuting, then no need to be in a flatter, more walkable, trick-or-treatable neighborhood. For my clients who end up buying up in the hills, they're like, why would I be down there if I can get more house, be closer to my work? It's just a lot more relaxing, a lot more privacy. So that's something that you're gonna wanna kind of think about in the beginning. Where do you wanna live in the county, and do you wanna be in a flatter area or up in the hills? And then when we think about condition, do you want something that is gonna be move-inable or totally tricked out or more of a fixer-upper? Do you really wanna buy something with brown countertops in your kitchen or pink tile in the bathroom? Oh wait, that's actually what my wife and I did when we bought our first house. So everyone starts somewhere. You just gotta do what you gotta do and get your little slice of peninsula real estate. And that's why I think San Mateo County kind of has something for everyone. Yes, we're the most expensive of the 9 counties that are here, but I'm gonna share with you over the next little bit a few more things that I think you absolutely wanna keep in mind if you plan to buy here. If it's important for you to be within a few minutes of a downtown, let me just kind of give you a quick overview on those. If we start in the north, we're gonna be looking at South San Francisco and Grand Avenue. My favorite place to eat there is La Tapatia, which is this excellent Mexican spot that's been there for a super long time. They even have their own tortilla factory in the back of the restaurant, so go check that out regardless of where you wanna buy. And then if we start to move a little bit down south, Millbrae, like Broadway, has a downtown. It's not as developed as some of the other downtowns, but it's super awesome. There's really good Asian food there, among other things. It's very conveniently located to the Millbrae BART and Caltrain station. That's another thing I like about being in Millbrae. And then moving down a little bit south from Millbrae is gonna be downtown Burlingame, which kind of checks the box for a lot of people. That is one of my favorite downtowns in the whole Bay Area. There's everything from bakeries to an Apple store to mom and pop shops. You kind of get a different flavor depending on where you are on the Ave, but it's just a great place to go even for a date night, weekend brunch, and all that. If we move a little bit more south, then there's downtown San Mateo. Downtown San Mateo has over 171 different restaurants, coffee shops, and just different places that you can eat. And there's a huge variety of places. So you have over a dozen Mexican places, sushi places, ramen, just every type of cuisine that you can kind of think of is gonna be in downtown San Mateo. And then there's downtown San Carlos, which is Laurel Street. That's just a few minutes away from here. That's actually the only downtown on the peninsula that does not charge you for parking. There's no parking meters there, so yeah, that's kind of cool. Obviously, we want our towns to be well funded, but it is nice that San Carlos doesn't charge for that. There's a lot of good places to eat in downtown San Carlos, very strong community feel. And then we move a little bit more south down to Redwood City. Downtown Redwood City has had a ton of money go into it over the last few years from a development perspective. And there's so many good places to eat there. I love that Mazra just opened their second location. Their first is in San Bruno. Really good Middle Eastern food. Definitely don't miss that. Not all towns though have downtowns. There is Foster City. There is Redwood Shores. They wouldn't really have like a downtown that's say super walkable from a date night perspective, but there's still plenty of places to go eat there. Same with Belmont. Belmont doesn't really have a very developed downtown, but there's a couple different places where you can go shopping, go to Safeway, and get your groceries. So let's say you want to buy a home on the peninsula and your budget was for a 3-bedroom house anywhere from like 1.7, 1.8 million up to $3 million, for example. Things you're gonna kind of think about first. Obviously, we've talked about, do you want to be in a flatter area or do you want to be in a hillier area? You might think about schools, of course, and you can do all your own research. If certain schools are ranked higher than other schools, that might be an important thing, but I will mention test scores don't tell you everything, right? I'd go interview the principal or go on different websites where you can kind of learn a little bit more about each school or join the local parents club. That'll kind of give you a lot more insight from those online forums than just what you're going to see from test scores only. Now, from a commuting perspective, the one thing you're going to kind of want to think about is if you got to hop on 101 or 280. And 280 is less of a big deal. It just takes a long time if you kind of want to go up and down the peninsula. But for 101, the traffic gets really bad right around 92. I remember many years ago, I represented a client who bought in Belmont, and the husband was a cardiologist, and he was working up in San Francisco at CPMC, and he had to get in pretty early for procedures and left at 7 a.m. Okay, so that wasn't a big deal. But I remember having a conversation with him, like, guys, are you sure you want to live in Belmont? Because you're just going to have that traffic situation. But because he was leaving so early, it was less of a concern. And I think vice versa. I had a client recently who worked at Google in Mountain View, and they lived in Burlingame. He wasn't going in all the time, but that drive wasn't necessarily the most pleasant. But then his team moved from Mountain View up to San Francisco, and it was nice they didn't have to move at all from Burlingame. They just kind of stayed in their same house. So kind of gave them a lot more optionality. And I think it depends on what career you're into. If you work in tech on the peninsula, kind of living in the middle part of the peninsula can give you a lot more flexibility if your job moves from one part of the peninsula to the other, north to south or south to north. That's the one thing I think is nice, kind of living in that sweet spot. So if you can kind of hit like Burlingame through San Carlos, in my view, that's going to give you the most flexibility for moving up and down later, job-wise, but you don't have to move your real estate. The one thing that I love about living in San Mateo County is we have so many different ways that you can kind of feel like you're close to nature. So for example, if you're really into the water, you might consider living in Foster City or Redwood Shores. Both of these communities are master planned or kind of developed in the 60s, 70s, and then up until more recently, even in the last 20 years, we've seen some new development out there. But what's really cool, let's start with Foster City, is you have all of these little fingers and islands out there. And so if you imagine yourself getting out in a paddleboard or a little small boat, like you can kind of do that in Foster City. Most of the land east of 101 is highly engineered compacted fill like Foster City. Parts of San Mateo east of 101 are more landfill, which was part of the bay. But ultimately all that land was part of the bay. In different towns, they kind of compacted the fill, I believe, a little bit differently. So for Foster City, because it's so master planned, it's very beautiful. There's very high tree density. It's just a great place to go. I really like going straight up paddleboarding out in Foster City, and there's tons of parks there too. Redwood Shores is equally awesome. Tons of green space, really high tree density. You can actually go for like a 4 or 5 mile walk just around the perimeter of Redwood Shores, and I've taken my bike down there so many times, going from Burlingame all the way down through Redwood Shores and Oracle, and that bay trail is just absolutely beautiful. Or you might be interested in a town like Hillsborough, which is one of the 3 most expensive cities in San Mateo County, with an average and median price at about $5.5 to $5.8 million. And then there's Redwood City, which kind of has almost something for everyone from a pricing standpoint. You see a huge range in Redwood City, kind of like you do in San Mateo. San Mateo has 27 different neighborhoods. Redwood City has fewer, but still very high population compared to other towns in the area. It's just one of the bigger towns that we have. Like I said, the downtown has had a lot of growth, but you could be up in the hills in Redwood City, like Emerald Hills or Farm Hill Estates, or it can be in the flatter areas like Edgewood Park or the Mount Carmel area. These are all such beautiful neighborhoods. They're among my favorite. It's certainly not inexpensive, but you can get really good value as well in Redwood City. All right, we've been shooting for a while. We got to get a little snack here. So let's go pop into Humphrey Slocum and grab some ice cream here in downtown Redwood City. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how's it going, man? Tell me about Humphrey Slocum.
Yeah, so we've been here for almost 3 years. We're usually known for our secret breakfast. Secret breakfast will be this ice cream that contains a little bit of alcohol. Alcohol. So
Wow.
Bourbon, cornflakes and bourbon if you want to try it.
Heck yeah.
That's the most popular ice cream that we have. It contains bourbon and cornflakes.
Oh my God.
So that's one of their popular
Secret
ones.
breakfast. That's legit. Okay, and any other amazing ones here?
Yeah.
Look at matcha doodle. And where's everything made?
Everything is made here in Berkeley.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys are super local. Vietnamese coffee, secret breakfast, Tahitian vanilla. Oh, this looks so good.
Yeah, that one's gonna be on me.
Oh man.
You can try it.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Yeah, we're honored to feature you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh my God. I was not envisioning having ice cream right now this time of the day, but this is absolutely just perfect. You made my day. Well, thank you so much. This was incredible. So as I was kind of thinking about everything you need to know in San Mateo County, I just want to acknowledge that how expensive it is to buy here, which obviously you already know if you're watching this video and you're thinking about buying here. But I remember kind of growing up in Burlingame, many of my closest friends, they ended up not moving back after college to the peninsula just because it is so expensive here. And so I totally empathize for people who get priced out or it's just so expensive. I mean, even in the world, we are in one of the most expensive markets. I mean, not only just in the Bay Area, but in San Mateo County, it's the most expensive county in the whole Bay Area. And these places are just super expensive. Interest rates, even at 6-ish%, are not inexpensive. So I just wanted to acknowledge, if you're watching this and you're thinking about buying, congratulations. But also just think of this from a place of gratitude and appreciation. Whatever, if you end up buying something in the next few years in San Mateo County and you send pictures of it to your friends or family in another part of the world or in the Midwest, wherever things basically cost less than here, I don't know if you'd say, oh my God, this feels like success. I bought a $2, $3, $4 million house and look how small it is or old it is. But ultimately, you didn't buy it in San Mateo. You could have bought anywhere else. And I think people choose to buy here because of the world-class weather that we have, the education system that we have, the access to the incredible healthcare, the super robust job market that we have, incredible biotech opportunities, the healthcare and medical care that you can get, the types of people that you can interact with, the amazing air quality that we have pretty much year-round. Obviously, we're shooting this right after the LA fires, and my heart goes out to everyone in LA. I actually went to school in LA for undergrad, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. But when I think about the peninsula and what makes it unique, those are some of the reasons why people choose to buy. And so if you're watching this, I would urge you to think about location first and the house second. Obviously, the house is super important. You get something that you're happy in, that feels safe and comfortable. I do very little repeat business because usually people buy and they stay where they are for a really long time. And that's kind of the way I would think about it. Kind of one of the things that I love about living in San Mateo County, and I've traveled so many different places, is the outdoors we have here, the parks and all that, and just kind of getting here to the baseball field. We're up in the hills in San Carlos. I thought, I just kind of relive my youth. I mean, I retired from baseball when I was after my 3rd grade season. So let me just kind of practice my swing here. maybe that's a golf swing. I retired from that too. It's so funny, when I got my real estate license, I bought a set of golf clubs and I thought, this is how I'm gonna do business out on the golf course. And then that never happened. I was like, what am I doing? And then it turned out real estate is just a people business. You just gotta do right by people. But so if you already live in San Mateo County, you already know why this is such a special place from an outdoor perspective. It's not like you would live here and then you would just go drive an hour to get to any nature, except for Marin. There's obviously so much to do up there. I just love it up there. But in the county, we have there's so many places to go hiking up and down the peninsula off of the kind of 280 corridor. There's Purisima Creek, there's Huddart Park, which I absolutely love going to. Hiking in the redwoods feels like you're just super far from civilization, when in reality you're only like 10 or 20 minutes from most towns kind of in the north or mid-peninsula area. We have tons of parks, so every town is gonna have anywhere from like 4 to even 20 parks. Like Burlingame, for example, has close to 20 parks in 12 neighborhoods, which is absolutely insane. Every town's gonna have huge baseball and football fields pretty much like this. Some places that I really like going to are Coyote Point. There's a beautiful marina just kind of east of 101 in San Mateo. I also love Seal Point Park east of 101 in San Mateo, right off of 3rd Avenue. And some of the best windsurfing in California is right off of 3rd Ave in San Mateo, kind of in that Seal Point Park area. I also really love Sawyer Camp Trail, which is a little more than 6 miles. That kind of goes on the eastern side of Crystal Springs Reservoir, which is just west of 280. And then if you're into cycling, as I am, I get into cycling in a big way about a couple years ago, and there's so much world-class cycling for road biking and mountain biking, all within 10 to 20 minutes of kind of wherever you're gonna live. And even though I've lived here my whole life, I had no idea. And so I started kind of riding and getting out there and doing like rides anywhere from like 20, 30 miles up to 80 to 90 miles, just kind of going up in the hills off Kenyatta Road and Woodside. There's just endless cycling that you can really do, and makes me very happy that we have that here. And then we have the coast. I mean, you just hop on the 92 freeway and within 10 or 20 minutes, unless you're going at the height of pumpkin season for the pumpkin festival, get out to Half Moon Bay. There's so much to do, plus or minus 20 minutes from Half Moon Bay, that we could just do a whole video just on the coast. We have world-class surfing out there. For example, Mavericks. I think it was just a few weeks ago, there was a 23-year-old from Santa Cruz who caught a wave that was about 100 feet. I think the previous record was about 85 feet. And this dude just surfed this wave for like 30 seconds. Check it out on YouTube. It's super incredible. But we have so much to do just out on the coast. You can pop down to Big Sur, Carmel. That's not in San Mateo County, but these things are very close to here. And that's another reason why I love living here. You can get to wine country in an hour or two. You can get up to Lake Tahoe in 3.5, 4 hours. So many different countries in one, just in Northern California for what you can see here. Also out on the coast are San Gregorio State Beach, which is really fun, Half Moon Bay State Beach, and also Memorial Park. Memorial Park is probably my favorite place to go camping in the Bay Area. It's only 45 minutes kind of from depending on where you are. And they recently redid the plumbing, the bathrooms. So if you're just a newbie camper, you can absolutely go there. I would kind of call it like a great first place. If you're thinking about going camping, you're in the redwoods. It is absolutely spectacular. And doing s'mores there is something that if you haven't done, you're gonna wanna do. Oh, and 2 other hiking spots that I totally love. Water Dog Lake in Belmont. Yes, there's actually a small little lake in there. You can kind of hike around the perimeter. And then there's also Laurelwood in San Mateo. There's a cute little park down there. We've been to some kids' birthday parties over the years. And then there's another little hiking trail that kind of weaves through the bottom parts of the canyon too. Now, if you're a foodie like I am, you probably love living in the Bay Area, in particular San Mateo County, because you get access to the freshest produce. I mean, we could kind of talk all about that, but the best farmers markets in the Bay Area, a lot of them are right here in San Mateo County. So for example, CSM, College of San Mateo, they have the biggest farmers market every Saturday on the whole peninsula. Obviously you can go up to the city to Alamany Farmers Market or the Ferry Building, but that is the one to go to down here. And then each town has its own version of a smaller farmers market. So Burlingame has one, San Carlos, Belmont, Redwood City. They all kind of have smaller versions, but if you want to go to the biggest one, go check out the CSM one on a Saturday morning. And you'll also want to check out Harley Goat Farms. They have amazing fresh goat cheese that you can buy on the spot. And then if you're going to do that, then you should go get some amazing artichoke bread out at an amazing place right in Pescadero. And then you're not going to want to miss Duart's as well, which is a family-owned restaurant just a few doors down from where you can get the artichoke bread. Now, when you think about cost of living in San Mateo County, you probably already know it is ridiculously expensive to just live life around here. So of course, groceries are expensive and all that, but if you're looking for a babysitter, you know, those things are not inexpensive. You could be prepared to spend anywhere from $20 to $30 an hour. If you're gonna go to the grocery store, I mean, this is outrageous, but the grocery delivery service that we use, I saw they had 2 bell peppers for $9. And we were in Asia over winter break, and I remember buying 2 bell peppers for like 75 cents. Now, of course, these are completely different examples for a lot of different reasons, but it is just super expensive around here. If you're going out for a date night to a restaurant, you could be spending for 2 people anywhere from $75 to $150, and that's to most restaurants around here, unless you're doing a date night with burritos, and obviously that's equally fun too, in which case you could be looking at maybe $40 or $50, but that's still expensive. I mean, just to maintain a car around here, you go into the shop, and I remember my dad would always tell me every time he'd take it into the shop, it's typically $500 or more, which is not unfair or unreasonable. It's just cost of labor is so expensive around here. I remember reading a few years ago that the cost of an hourly construction worker is the highest of any place in the world in the Bay Area, even more than Hong Kong. Like it was $105 per person per hour. At least, obviously that's not what the construction worker is getting paid, but that's what they're being billed out. And then there's workers' comp and overhead, insurance, etc., which leads me to insurance. That is a big hot button thing right now, and I certainly don't have any magic answers. But if you live in San Mateo County, it is just expensive to have homeowners insurance around here. Auto insurance is expensive. Even renting around here is pretty expensive. So for a 2-bedroom apartment, you could easily be spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month. That's crazy, but that's just kind of what it costs. And so typically when I see people move into the housing market and buy, it's if they're like, hey, I could afford a $5,000 a month rent, but I don't want to. I've saved up enough for 20% down. So if that's $2 million, that could be $400,000, or $1 million at $200,000. Obviously these are huge numbers, but once you get to that point, and then when you factor in like interest and deducting that and tax and everything, that could be equivalent to like $7,000 a month mortgage payment, could be equivalent to a $5,000 a month rent. So then it would make sense to buy. So you probably already know we have 4 big economic engines here in San Mateo County. Let me tell you what those are. Number 1 is high tech. No surprise. We have all the leading companies of the world have a presence in San Mateo County or just south of here in Santa Clara County. But a lot of people who work in tech live in San Mateo County, and they can kind of easily get up to San Francisco or head down a little bit more south, whether you're working at Apple, Google, or any of the big companies, including Meta, which is in Menlo Park and Burlingame. You're going to be able to easily access that from anywhere in the county. We also have healthcare, which is a huge employer in the area. In San Francisco, we have UCSF, CPMC, and a little bit more south, we have Kaiser, we have Stanford, we have Palo Alto Medical Foundation. Finance, so we have tons of people who live in the county who work in venture capital, Sand Hill Road in Menlo Park, up in San Francisco, or people who work in banking. There are so many options. You can check the box here in San Mateo County. The last job center here is biotech. So we have over 80 biotech companies in South San Francisco, and then in Foster City, we have Gilead. So there's a huge presence here. If you're in biotech, obviously there's a big presence in New Jersey, and then of course in Europe, but in the United States, this is the place to be. South San Francisco and kind of throughout the county, you have so many different options. In fact, just in South City alone, there's over 10 million square feet of lab space. And then there's another 5 million square feet, which has been approved, but not yet built. I think we're gonna continue to see a lot of pressure on our job market, and it's very interesting. About 2 years ago, I remember reading a statistic that said over the preceding 5 years, San Mateo County had created over 75,000 new jobs, but only about 5,000 new housing units. And when you kind of think about that, these towns aren't that big. You know, you're averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 sales per town per month. It's not a lot. So all these companies have to do is keep adding a few more jobs here and there, and the supply doesn't go up that much, which is a whole nother conversation. That's kind of why it's so expensive to buy around here, because the supply is so limited. If you really want to get a sense what is going on in each of these cities from a fund perspective, how the cities are run, I'd recommend getting on the newsletters that each town has. Most towns are sending out anywhere from 1 to 4 newsletters per month via email. And I think they're super fascinating. I'm signed up for almost all of them, and it gives me a lot more insights into what's going on into each town on the peninsula. I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you're thinking about making a move within San Mateo County or to San Mateo County, I'd love to be your peninsula real estate resource of choice. All my contact info is below. Shoot me a text, give me a call, shoot me an email. If you're wondering what are the best places to live in San Mateo County, check out this video where I do a deep dive on all the top ranked towns from my perspective. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.